colleagues. Ms. Cadis is absolutely right, and I'll emphasize the Liberal agreement to the extension of the mission to 2011 was based on two things. One, the John Manley report, in the report, in fact, highlighted that the mission had not been managed to the extent and as well as it should have been. And as a result, that to accomplish our commitments that we had made internationally, it was recommended that we go to 2011, but very strongly also on the basis that the nature of the mission changed. Those were the key elements to the Liberal agreement to extending the mission to 2011. We all know that by far the greatest cost of a mission like this is the lives that are lost and the lives that are maimed and the people who come back suffering, and of course the people on the ground in Afghanistan. But I will stress for a moment now the financial piece, especially when we are in a time of real economic challenge and we have a conservative government that inherited a $12 billion surplus 2.5 years ago, and it's gone. We're right down to the wire. So we also do have to look at the financial side. And what is striking is that the budgetary officer, the federal budgetary officer, came out with his report a few days ago. And not only did he highlight the fact that the costs to the end of 2002 and 2007, 2008 were almost double what this government was telling Canada they were going to be. But in no uncertain terms, the language he used was very strong. Inability to get information, lack of cooperation from the government, lack of accountability, lack of transparency from this government. This is of real concern, and it must be a real concern. We uphold our international commitments, but we must do so honestly, respectfully, and with regard for both Canadians and the Afghan people.
Thank you very much. Mr. Carnes.
Thanks very much. This is a very dangerous mission there. We are sacrificing lives. We are worried about what's going on there, and the costs are not something that I think we can put a price on how much we need to protect the people that are giving of themselves like this. We are protecting freedom. We are protecting democracy in Afghanistan. Over 30 Canadians died in 9/11 in those attacks on democracy and on freedom. So when we are finally able, for the first time, to put the money that is necessary into defense spending and into playing a legitimate role in an internationally sanctioned, UN-sanctioned, NATO-led mission like this with over 60 countries participating, I think for the first time, and I've talked to a lot of people, for the first time, they really feel proud of the role that Canadians are playing overseas. And so, yes, we will be out in February 2011. The Prime Minister's been clear. The bill that we passed is as clear as it gets. So, notes and all these types of things are not necessary. We've been clear from the beginning. There hasn't been any change in our position. In February 2011, it's time for other countries to start doing a little bit more of the heavy lifting, and we will work on rebuilding and training, and we are doing that today. There are women voting in Afghanistan for the first time. There are girls going to school for the first time in Afghanistan. Things are succeeding there. It will take time, but I'm proud of the role that Canada's played in it.
Thank you very much. I'd like to encourage our audience to come to the microphones and ask your questions yourselves. Otherwise, you'd also be delighted to ask for the assistance of our two fine members of the management committee. And in some instances, if the members of the panel, the candidates, want to respond to a question, please let me know, and I will call on you. Ms. Wallace, go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for allowing me to respond, even though the question was not put to my party. But I did want to draw the audience's attention to the distinctly different policy the New Democratic Party has with regards to the conflict in Afghanistan. Ours is the only party that has repeatedly urged for our withdrawal from a combat mission in Afghanistan, and we continue with that. If elected, a new democratic government would withdraw our troops immediately, not in 11, but immediately with consultation with our allies so that that withdrawal is done in an orderly fashion. We believe very firmly in the New Democratic Party that the role of a national armed services force, our troops, are number one to guard us as a country. Thankfully, we're not likely to come under attack anytime soon. They are secondly then to help us in natural disasters. And thirdly, to assist in international peacekeeping efforts. Peacekeeping. And unfortunately right now, we do not have a peaceful situation in Afghanistan. So we need to pass over the combat portion of this mission to the other NATO allies to continue on if they so wish. But our role must be to wait until it's safe to go in a peacekeeping and development array, and to take the funds, the $18 billion, not the $8 billion that was originally told to us, but the $18 billion that's been spent, and put that into international development. Our party wants to see our commitment to the United Nations kept, which is that we will increase our foreign aid spending up to the 0.7% of the gross domestic product as where it should be, and we are at an even lower level than we have ever been. We're down below 0.3% of our GDP going to international development. So that's the focus of our party with respect to Afghanistan.
Thank you very much. Before we go to the next question, I'd like to recognize Mr. Chongsen Leong, the Conservative candidate from Richmond Hill, who has joined us. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Leong. On to the next question.
Sorry, could I respond to that question?
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Cole. Go ahead.
Thanks. Let's not forget who was in power when we went into Afghanistan. I think had we clearly defined our role in Afghanistan at the time when we first got there, we could avoid the situation that we're in now. Traditionally, Canada has had a role as peacekeepers. We've not been in combat missions. You know, there's 100 soldiers that have been killed in Afghanistan, and that's far, far too many. Many of the European countries that are in Afghanistan, they clearly define their role in Afghanistan as peacekeeping, reconstruction, and one of combat missions to one of a UN-led humanitarian aid and reconstruction in Afghanistan. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, sir, go ahead.
Presence of Canadian soldiers in Afghanistan is again one of the top things on the priority list of everybody. No one kind of, I can put it this way, no one says bad things or unfavorable things. The point is priorities. Where to allocate the budgets, where to send the troops. Progressive Party is totally against our presence in Afghanistan the way we are involved. That is somebody else's war, and nobody is going to share with us the benefits, you know what I mean? So we are totally against what we are doing in Afghanistan, because we traditionally, Canada was supposed to be peacekeeper, not together with some other soldiers killing people and stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much.